The Dow just hit 50,000. What does that mean? Elon Musk says saving money is stupid. Is he right? And should you prioritize your HSA over your Roth IRA? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Personal Finance Club show. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jeremy.
So it's kind of a sad day because see what's behind me? This is the last time you're ever going to see this.
No.
If you're listening, because we're ending our lease at this office. When I got this office, it was because I lived in like a little condo and my office was in the living room where the kids would play, and that was very difficult. But now we moved further away and we have a big house with like a big extra room for the office. And so I'm going to start just working and recording from the home office. I'm going to try to make it look the same, like paint the wall and bring the same stuff. So maybe you won't notice, but this is the end of an era.
R.I.P.
All future podcasts will have screaming children in the background. So...
I love it. Oh my gosh. That's exciting, actually. Okay.
That sounds horrible.
Okay. Well, it was good while it lasted. And if you make the blue background, literally no one will know.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like I like keep having this like ideas of like I need some like really dramatic YouTube studio, but it just seems like a lot of work that I don't have time for these days. So
it looks great. Yeah, bring
blue's
all that.
Fine.
Bring all those accoutrements on with you, and you'll be great.
The two things, the little PFC logo and the.
Hey, it's effective.
Okay,
I have a
good.
fake plant from Michael's.
I have a fake plant too.
Nice.
See, there
it's fake. It looks very real.
There's another one over there.
I didn't know they were fake. Wow, the lore is getting busted
I know.
through.
If it's far enough away, you think I can keep a plant that alive? No chance.
Same. Got you.
No chance.
Okay, let's get into our hot topics.
It's a hot one today. I actually like these hot topics because they are very topical, and I feel like I've seen this one on a lot of memes lately.
Hot topical, but not too topical.
Not too topical.
Okay. So the Dow just closed above 50,000 for the first time ever. We don't usually talk that much about the Dow when we're covering the stock market. So should I care about this? What does it mean?
Yeah. And, this was famously, I think it was Pam Bondi being interviewed about the Epstein files.
It's pretty brutal.
And she was asked, something about the victims. And she answered, the Dow was over 50,000. That's what we should be talking about.
But she couldn't even get it out. She's like, the Dow has 50. Like she didn't even know what to say. It's like, look at your notes, girl.
Well, I think she did look at her notes and was stumbling over it. But
somebody gave you a cheat sheet. Read it.
Exactly. Someone's like, I wonder who said this is what we should be talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it became a meme because then it's like anytime you don't want to answer a question, you just say what the Dow is at. But you bring up a very good point, which is like, okay, well, what is a Dow? And is this a big deal? And should we be excited about this? And it's a big round number. It's not 100,000, but 50 is halfway there.
I was more curious, honestly, because we're always S&P. I mean, I know that you as a financial connoisseur, you be talking about the Dow, but for the PFC purposes, we don't really touch on it a lot. So that's kind of why I brought it here.
Well, we're about to end. I'm going to start with a trivia question, Jen.
Oh, God, Jeremy.
Well, I'm going to ask you two. I know you always like wince in pain, but then you do really well. But the point is, like, your answers are instructive because we're all learning from your answers. So how many companies do you think, so the S&P 500 is a list of companies. How many companies do you think are in the S&P 500?
500. All of them.
That's right.
Follow 500. 500.
Yeah, 500. No, that's exactly right. Or, it depends on how you count because like Google actually has like 2 shares of stock. So it might be like 506 or something like that. But that's the idea. It's like 500 representative companies of the U.S. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, that's what it stands for. When they say the Dow, it's short for the DJIA or the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is basically a number that represents a certain list of stocks. How many stocks do you think are in the Dow Jones Industrial Average? What's your guess, Jennifer Mundia?
I hate it. 2,000.
2,000. Good guess. You are extremely wrong. The correct answer.
One thing about Jeremy is he's going to keep it frank. Let me get another guess.
Good. Yeah.
S&P 500 has 500. Can you tell me if it's more or less? Can you give me that much?
No, you need to guess before I tell you the answer. Because I already told you extremely wrong, so you got to go in a big way in a different direction.
Wrong. I'm going to say 150.
150 stocks. You're much closer, but you're still pretty wrong.
Yeah.
The correct answer is 30.
Dang.
There are literally 30 stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And the reason we don't talk about the Dow Jones or the Dow is because it's extremely stupid. Like, it's very, very stupid. And I'm not like, that's not, an objective opinion. That's like a statistical fact. The Dow Jones is extremely stupid. And so I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, and then I'll tell you why we talk about it. So what it is there's 30 companies, and I'm not going to read all 30 because despite that being a small number, it's still kind of boring for a podcast. But I'll tell you the top 5. The top 5 by weight are Goldman Sachs, Caterpillar, like the construction company, Microsoft, Home Depot, and Amgen, which I think does medical something.
Okay, so there's crossover. S&P.
For sure, there's some crossover, but it's not the same top 5. That's for sure. I think only Microsoft is in the top 5 of the S&P. And the crazy thing, this is the craziest thing about the Dow Jones. With the S&P 500, they basically add up the weight of every company. So how is the biggest of the most company, the second biggest of the second biggest company, the third biggest of the third biggest company, and then based on how all the companies do, weighted by size, that's how they come up with the S&P 500 value, right? And so, for example, if there's a huge company, NVIDIA or whatever, are the biggest company these days, and it's flat, and then the tiniest company in the S&P 500 has like a huge day, the impact to the S&P 500 will be almost nothing because the tiniest little company makes up like a teeny fraction of a percent, which is kind of right. Whereas if NVIDIA, the biggest company, goes down by 50%, you'd expect that to have a very big impact. So, for example, like if I hear Microsoft, Meta, all the tech giants all drop by 10% because of bad tech news, I know I can go look at the S&P 500 and see it's going to have a terrible day. Whereas if Caterpillar, which is a tiny percent of the S&P 500, actually, let's use a different example. Let's use Goldman. So Goldman Sachs, for example, the biggest company by weight in the Dow, is 11.55% of the Dow Jones. Of only 30 companies in the Dow Jones, Goldman Sachs makes up over 11%. Goldman Sachs as a percent of the total U.S. stock market is 0.4%. So it's dramatically overweighted, right? There's way too much Goldman Sachs in the Dow Jones because it's just this arbitrary list of 30. It's not arbitrary. They try to choose representative companies, but it's just, this list of these 30 companies. The S&P 500 is weighted by size. The Dow Jones, do you know how they calculate it, Jen? This is where it gets crazy. This is where it gets stupid.
Talk to me.
They calculate it by adding up all the stock prices. So it's not the size of the company. It's purely the weight. It's purely weighted by how much that stock price is, which is irrelevant. So I'll give you an extreme example.
Okay.
Let's say the Dow Jones, instead of having 30 companies, had 2 companies. It had Apple, and it had, Jeremy's Jams. If I went out and made a jam company and we sold jams
with
and jellies.
Z?
Sure. But we sell jams and jellies. But
what's the stock ticker number? JMZ.
J Jams. JJAMZ. Please invest. And then let's say I just decide to have very few shares. I only want really serious investors. So I only have 4 shares of stock, and they're $10,000 each. So my whole company is worth $40,000, but 1 share of stock is $10,000. 1 share of Apple stock today is $264. So if those were the only 2 companies in the Dow would be at $10,264. Then guess what? If Jeremy's Jams had a bad day and the $10,000 share price became $5,000, the Dow would plummet by 50% and it would become $5,264, right? And so obviously 30 is a big enough number where one company can't do that by itself, but it's still extremely stupid that we're even doing it this way. And the reason we're doing it this way is because in 1896, Jen, before computers, before the internet, before calculators, did they have electricity? I don't know. Now we're like getting into a history lesson.
Oh my gosh, should I Google it? When did they invent electricity?
When did they invent electricity? I think it was before that, right? When did they invent electricity?
What is this?
1752. Okay.
Damn.
Right. Lighting, invention of the first battery in the 1800s. So, it's old enough we have to ask that question.
Yeah.
but this is, there's like no spreadsheets. And so basically this company named after this dude named Dow was like, hey, this stock market thing is emerging. Maybe we should be tracking how, instead of just the individual companies doing, we could track how the whole stock market's doing. And so he picked 12 companies back then, and then he added up their stock prices. And on that day, May 26, 1896, that number they added up to was 40.94. I will say that's slightly more complicated than adding up the stock prices. They also add up all the stock prices, and then they divide it by something called the Dow divisor, because sometimes stocks split. So for example, if Tesla's at $1,000 a share and then it splits and becomes $500 a share, they don't want that to impact the Dow, because that didn't really impact the company dropping in value. It just represented there being more shares. So they adjust this Dow divisor to basically smooth out all those curves, so that those splits and spin-offs and companies being replaced and things like that don't affect the Dow. So it's kind of like a true adding up of the prices, but it's still adding up the prices. And so in 1896, that's how this dude named Dow decided to do it. In 1928, they said, 12's not enough. That's silly. That's too few. It's the 20s now. Let's get more modern. Let's make it 30 companies. And we still use those 30 companies today. They update the companies throughout time based on, companies that go in and out of business and get bigger and smaller and things like that. But we still add those up. And so when Pam Bondi in front of Congress was saying the Dow is over 50, what she's saying is, hey, these 30 companies that we are somewhat arbitrarily picking, and when you add up all their prices, not the weight, not the size of their company, not how the company is doing, you just add up all their prices and then divide it by the Dow divisor, which is a number that's smoothing out the curve over the years. That adds up to 50,000.
Okay.
Is that meaningful? No, it's one set of random numbers is bigger than one other meaningful, one other big round number. It literally means nothing. I mean, it's somewhat historically interesting that the number started at 40.94 and today it's 50,000. It just shows even among 30 random stocks, the insanely powerful compound growth of the market. If you had bought $40.94 worth of stock back then, you'd have about $50,000 today in stock price, but doesn't even include dividends. When you include dividends, it'd actually be dramatically more than that, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars at least, which isn't included in the index, of course. But that's what it is. That's why we don't talk about it. It's not because it's more complicated. It's because it's much, much stupider. And, and I just think it's like one of these financial news headline, the Dow dropped 200 today, because they've been saying it forever. So they keep saying it, but we shouldn't be talking about that at all. If anything, we should be talking about the S&P 500, because at least it's a much bigger list. But these days we have computers. We could make like a total U.S. market index and track that. But it just doesn't have it's like literally just a marketing thing. It just sounds good. The Dow did this, but it means nothing. So
interesting.
Yeah, I know. Did you learn something about the Dow Jones Industrial Average?
What's really crazy is I be learning on this podcast. I really actually learn. It's kind of nuts. Sometimes I'm just listening. I'm like, oops, I should be doing my job.
We have to tell more jokes, Jen. Every time I'm like, the show needs to be funnier.
You need to be funnier, and then I'll laugh.
Okay, that is appreciated. I like when you laugh, but I do need to be funnier.
Yeah, tell me a good joke. Not a Dow joke. Come on.
It's hard to make good Dow jokes.
DJIA. Come on, that's boring.
I agree. I've really put myself between a rock and a hard place. Explain the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but make it funny. Give it some flair.
I set him up for failure because I am the one who puts the questions in there. Okay. But, we'll figure it out. We're working on this. Yeah. Episode 25, okay?
Hey.
It's a milestone, I'd say.
By the time we are 130 years old, like the Dow Jones, we'll have a funny episode.
We'll see. All right, shall we move on to our next segment?
Yes.
Money. Can I ask a dumb one?
You're asking dumb people smart questions. What is today's question?
Okay, so someone asks, what are your thoughts on either my wife or I pausing our retirement contributions temporarily to back up our emergency fund? Last year, we had the central air unit replaced and had our basement flood. Thankfully, we had the money to pay for these expenses. We have a path to build the emergency fund back up to where it was, but it will likely take 12 to 18 months. But if we pause retirement contributions for one of us, we can get the emergency fund completed in half the time. Maybe I'm splitting hairs, but was curious how you dissect this scenario.
Splitting hairs, you know what that sounds like? Sounds like we need to get out the Nuance marching band.
I don't know the song. Copywritten.
Jen just made, yeah. That's a Sousa. John Sousa is going to come after us. Maybe he's old enough that's in the public domain.
It might be public domain, yeah.
All right, so that's a good question, and I will say, you know, I think you are splitting hairs to some degree because it probably doesn't matter that much, but I do have an answer, and I like to follow what I call the phases of investing. And there are 6 phases, and here they go. Phase 1, max out your 401k up to your match. And so to answer you, who's this from?
This is from Chris in Bristol, Connecticut.
Chris in Bristol, Connecticut. Sorry, I didn't say it, Chris. So to answer you, Chris,
it's my fault.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, so to answer you, Chris in Connecticut, I would not stop your 401ks below the match. So for example, if you and or your wife have a 5% match, make sure you're at least doing that. Number 2, we didn't talk about this, but if you have any debt, if you have non-mortgage debt, I would pay that off because that debt is making it harder for you to build wealth because you're paying interest. That debt is making it harder for you to build an emergency fund. And these phases are designed to be done all at once. And then you don't move on until you finish that phase. So go to your 401k plan, make sure you're doing the exact match, 5%, whatever it is. Then you're done with that phase. Then pay off all your debt. Then you're done with that phase. It sounds like you are on phase 3, which is save an emergency fund. It'll take you 12 to 18 months, but you can do it in half the time if you pause your retirement contributions. So I would pause what's happening beyond your match. And you might be saying, if you're listening, hey, but he gets a tax advantage and that's use it or lose it. Yeah, but part of a good offense is a good defense, right? If we are so focused on, if we're living so lean without an emergency fund that something else could happen, like you said, your central air broke and you had a basement flood. Like if another weird thing like that happens that you're not prepared for, you lose a job, medical emergency, you need to move, whatever it is. And then you're in this situation where you're racking up a credit card debt or you have to do a 401k loan or whatever it is, you would be much worse off, right? And so part of a good offense is a good defense. And so you want to build that foundation first, even if it means temporarily pausing your retirement contributions. And like you said, you can get there in half the time. So instead of talking about 12 to 18 months, we're talking about 6 to 9 months. That means by the end of the year, you can turn them back on and you won't be saving anymore. You won't be doing both. So you'll be going even faster then, right? Because then instead of splitting your money, some to emergency fund, some to retirement contributions, you can really ramp it back up for the remainder of the year. And so I would do that. I would say, hey, I think your thought process is right. Get that emergency fund back up to where you feel comfortable with it as fast as possible. And then you're done with that. Then you can go back to investing, which is phase 4, invest until you're on pace for a healthy retirement. Go to a retirement calculator like the one at hellonectarine.com and put in all your numbers and see if you're at least going to be healthy at the age of 65. Phase 5 is save for a house down payment and kids' college. That's kind of not super necessary stuff to survive, but things a lot of people want to do. So once you're at least saving up for retirement to say, okay, I'm going to be good at 65, then go save for your house, go save for your kids' college. And then once those things are covered, phase 6, which is the final phase, invest more or pay off your mortgage. And that's where you're saying, hey, debt's paid off. We've got the emergency fund. Retirement is healthy. We've got our house down payment. We've got kids' college covered. Now it's time to pay off that house, invest more, retire early, get wealthy. That's what I do. And so, Chris, I would say it's splitting hairs a little bit, but I like where your head's at. I'd say, hey, go through these things in order, the phases of investing. That's how you're going to really stay focused, get that defense going, build wealth, all the great things. And then if the emergency happens, because emergencies tend to all happen at the same time, where you lose your job, the car breaks down, the flood happens, the family emergency, and then you're worried about credit card debt, things like that. You don't want, these things to happen all at once. So that's why you've got that cash buffer to get you through it, like it just did when you had the unexpected basement flood. How nice was it that you didn't have to go live on credit cards and be stressing out about just paying your bills because you took care of that in the past. Set yourself up again for success in the future. Get your emergency fund back up in phase 3, and then you can go back to plowing that money into investing.
Nice. Sometimes I try and answer the questions before you answer them, like as I get them. I do a little WWJD, and I'm like, oh, what would Jeremy do? And I got this one right.
I thought, what would Jen do?
No, never that.
Oh.
Trust me, it's never that. I gotta always outsource. You know?
Did you guess this one right?
I did. I was like, I think he's gonna say that that's okay. Yeah. Good.
Right.
We're aligned.
You did not guess the number of companies in the Dow rate. You were way off.
2030. It's like, who even asking?
Did you guess I thought you guessed like 10,000. I don't know. What you
I said 2,000. This is recorded media, okay?
Okay.
People can just rewind.
You're gonna impeach me.
Don't slander my name. Okay.
Are you lying now or are you lying then?
Okay, exactly. All right, should we go on to our favorite segment of the episode?
It's our favorite?
It's my favorite.
Okay, what is it?
Scroll Patrol.
Scroll Patrol.
Somebody wrote into the show and said that they say Scroll Patrol with you when you do it.
They do. Oh, good.
And then it was funny because I think the last episode you forgot to do it, so I was thinking about them. I was like, oh my God, they're over there with egg on their face saying Scroll Patrol. And you didn't even say it.
I'm such a dick. I'm like, people give me high fives. I just leave them hanging. I think I saw it from the Kelsey Brothers podcast where they go, new news.
Oh my! Do you watch that?
I've seen like 2 episodes.
Our crossover is non-existent.
I guess I picked it up.
So far, our only crossover in all this time has been Wait, Don't Tell Me. And that's the only thing that we both watch.
We both watched that Super Bowl commercial with the Backstreet Boys singing.
Enough, okay? Stop glazing me, as the kids say. All right, let's click on this link. Jeremy has not seen this video. It's another quick one. He's going to react in real time, and we're going to talk about it.
All right.
One side recommendation I have is don't worry about squirreling money away for retirement in 10 or 20 years. It won't matter.
No.
Okay.
Either we're not going to be here, or
it just it's you won't need to save for retirement. If any of the things that we've said are true, saving for retirement will be irrelevant.
Okay.
So first of all, let me just say this was sent in. This was sent in from Kenton. So shout out to you, Kenton, because and the email was so funny because they were like, for Gen's eyes only. I was like, what is this email gonna say? And it was just Scroll Patrol. I was like, maybe they thought that you are in the inbox too. And I was like, thank you for the secrecy.
Sometimes I am, but there's nothing that would make me click on an email faster.
I know, right?
I'm like, what kind of sick stuff is she doing in this?
Having people send me in OnlyFans
inbox.
to the info inbox.
Oh, is this another Epstein Files thing, Jen? Oh,
I'm an Epstein Files. That's what it is.
So
thank you, Kenton. And Jeremy, thoughts on this video?
So yeah, if you didn't recognize that voice, that was Elon Musk saying in 10, 20 years, saving will be
even the guy
irrelevant.
who's interviewing him is like,
I know. I love his reaction because Elon Musk meant it to be this really dramatic thing. And he's like, what do you mean? Do you mean we're going to be dead? Or do you mean money will be infinite? Or what the hell is this thing? And I didn't prepare for this, but I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say you can go look at the 1,000 things that Elon Musk has said about the future. And to his credit, I do think he is part of the envelope pushing with electric cars and SpaceX and things like that. But a lot of things he says don't come true, as is true for all of us. He's not the magical fortune teller. And, I can't imagine a world. I can't imagine a world in 10 or 20 years where saving is less important. I can only imagine a world where saving is more important because social safety nets have fallen apart and Social Security goes bankrupt, and there's that's been the trend forever. Pensions are dropping away. Maybe inflation gets worse. Whatever it is, it seems like if anything, buying assets and saving is going to become more important. And so, and this is a 22-second clip, and it's the kind of thing that goes so viral on social media, and even Elon Musk is like, if any of the things we have said come true, I'm like, what'd you just say? Did you say, there's a meteor spiraling towards Earth that's about to wipe us out? If that's true, then saving becomes very relevant. And so if that's true, So, maybe there was an hour of this looks like a very long form sit down conversation that they're having. And maybe if there's an hour of context to this, of which all of that becomes true, then same becomes irrelevant. Sure. But I think this kind of thing worries me because, our YOLOers out there, God bless you all. I'm not a religious person. I don't know why I always use these. I sometimes say year of our Lord 2026. I think sometimes I say that people are like, is he really religious? And I don't happen to be, but I just think it's, I don't know, a nice thing to say or something.
It's but, internet lore. You're just internet language. They got you.
Okay,
You're just an elder millennial who's talking for the internet.
An elder millennial. Thank you. I'll take it. Even though I think I might have missed millennial status by 40 days or something. But
hilarious that you know that.
Well, because I was an 80s baby. I say it's, well, let's not get into it. But yeah, so anyway, I worry that people like the YOLOers out there are going to say, oh, I knew it. I'm going to buy this speedboat. Elon Musk says in 10 years, I'm going to have all this money, but that's probably not going to happen. Speedboaters, YOLOers, wave runner enthusiasts. I want you to have a wave runner if you want to have a wave runner. Frankly, it'd be better if your friend had a wave runner because then you don't have to do the maintenance and stuff. But it's most likely saving will still be very important in the future, and that's what I'm doing. So I give this clip an F because it just seems really stupid. Yeah. Well, you're giving me a shocked emoji face.
I thought it would get at least a D for just how hilarious it is to say something like that.
I mean, it's one of our rules. Our rule number 1, live below your means. He's literally saying don't do rule number 1. He has to fail. So he fails.
Funny.
This is the Personal Finance Club show, and he failed.
You're right. Okay, keeping it real over here. Okay, short and sweet. Let's go on to our
I'm not an Elon Musk hater, by the way. I'm an Elon Musk, I don't know, indifferentiator.
I don't know that's
I think no.
I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's that.
No. Yeah, I'm not an Elon Musk fanboy either. I just, I think that he's probably gonna be worth $1 trillion one of these days, and that's pretty interesting. But I don't think that really makes him a great person, or I don't think that alone necessarily makes him a horrible person. But it's hard to say that without looking at the rest of his behavior and be like, oh, that doesn't seem great.
Why don't you quit while you're ahead here?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. What's our next segment?
Okay. Our next segment is Money. Jeremy had time today.
All right. You're in the comments blowing me up, and I'm going to blow you right back. For Jen's eyes only.
Okay. I don't even know how to get into this. Okay, so we're still at the beginning of the year. It's February, or maybe it's March when this comes out. But either way, you should still be looking at your finances. So it's a great time to look at the ultimate investing checklist for 2026. Do you want to give us a little rundown of this before we get into the comment?
Yeah, it's basically, people think investing is super duper complicated. And I basically put on one little Post-it note size thing, handwritten, the investing checklist, which I'm not going to go through in total, but says which accounts to invest in index funds, turn on dividend reinvestment, set up automatic investments, rebalance on a fixed schedule, really simple stuff like that. And that if you do all these things on this little tiny Post-it note, you're going to be a super duper expert investor. And that's really what it all boils down to. And everything else we hear about in the world of investing is, distraction, noise.
Okay. So the comment is, why do you recommend giving priority to the HSA before the Roth IRA? I would have thought that Roth would be number 2 and HSA would be number 3.
All right. So just to give context, there's 5 accounts listed on this post note. By the way, if you're self-employed, yours would be a little bit different, but the 5 accounts are 401k up to your match. And this again is like a waterfall where you fill up a bucket and then go to the next one. So 401k up to your match. HSA, which in 2026 you can contribute $4,400 to as a single person. I think it's $8,000 something as a family. Number 3, Roth IRA, $7,500, and then number 4, the rest of your 401k, $24,500, and then number 5, taxable brokerage, which is unlimited. And so basically, you fill up each of these buckets in order, and you don't do the next one until the previous one is filled. But if you don't have access to one of those buckets, then you can just skip it. So for example, if your employer doesn't have a 401k, just skip it. If your health insurance isn't an HSA compatible health insurance plan, then you don't open an HSA, you just skip it. But this question asker is saying, hey, why is HSA before Roth IRA? I would have thought that like Roth is better because Roth is the better tax break. And the answer is HSA kind of is a Roth tax break, and it's a traditional tax break. You get both tax breaks. Usually it's one or the other. And so I'll explain it. And it's called the triple tax break of the HSA. First, if you put money into an HSA, you don't pay income tax on it this year. So for example, let's say you make $50,000 a year and you contribute $4,000 to an HSA. The government pretends that you only made $46,000. That $4,000 comes off right from the top, goes directly into your HSA bank account or investment account, and then you only pay income tax on what's left. Those types of tax deductions are huge because they come off your marginal tax rate, right? Your highest tax rate is whatever is at the top. And so if you can take money off the top by reducing your taxable income, like through an HSA, you save a bunch of tax money this year. That's tax benefit number one. Tax benefit number two is the money grows tax-free. So let's say you open up a investment account for your HSA, which you can do at a site like fidelity.com. You can click open account, click HSA. You do need to have a HSA compatible health plan. So you should go look at your health plan to see if it works. But you probably know about it if you do. So you go to Fidelity, open one up, or maybe you have one through your employer. Then you invest the money that's inside. So I put that $4,000 in, got a tax break, then I invest the money. And then for the next, let's say, 20 years, it grows and grows and grows. It pays dividends, it kicks off earnings, yada, yada, yada. I don't pay any of the tax on that growth, which is tax benefit number two. Normally, in a taxable brokerage account, if my investments paid dividends, I would be getting an annual tax bill saying, hey, your investments paid, in my case, they pay like $60,000 or $70,000 a year just in dividends. And so I have to pay tax on that as though it's my income. Inside of an HSA, you don't. Then tax benefit number three is when you take the money out, you don't pay taxes on it as long as it's for a qualified medical expense. And so with a Roth IRA, you pay tax when it goes in. You pay tax on the income when you earn it, but then once you put the money in, you never pay tax again. With an HSA, it's the same. You never pay tax again as long as it's on qualified medical expenses. And prevailing wisdom in the personal finance world is that as we age, we're going to have enough medical expenses to use all this up. And so you want to have that HSA there so you can use this triple tax benefit money that you never paid tax on ever. When you earned it, when it grew, when you pulled out, you never pay tax on any of it. That's why the HSA is better than the Roth IRA, because you save tax now on the income tax and you save tax later when you pull it out. You might be thinking, hey, but what if I don't have enough medical expenses? Then what? I'm screwed, right? Well, you're not screwed. Worst case scenario, you just pay a penalty of 10%. So it's not like a huge deal. But at age 65, HSAs can convert to a regular traditional IRA, well, that means you do have to pay tax on the withdrawals at that point. But since you never pay tax on the money going in, that's actually okay. And then you can use that money on anything. And so at age 65, your HSA can just become a regular old retirement account where you pull money out and pay the tax on it later. And so even then, it's strictly better because you only pay tax once, just like you do with the Roth IRA. And so that said, this is still a nuanced issue. If you don't like an HSA for whatever reason and you want to skip it, that's 100% fine. HSAs through employers often have higher fees and things like that, or they're a little bit more complicated to use. Or you might just not want the complexity in your life, and that's legit too. But that said, strictly by the rules of the tax code, you will likely end up with more money if you prioritize in this order because you're going to pay less tax.
Whoa.
I know.
You're getting good at this.
I have an HSA. I have a little debit card. It says HSA on it. And when I go to the dentist or when I buy glasses or go to the doctor, I swipe my HSA card. It kind of feels like free money because I don't have to pay for it out of my checking account. And I rest very happy knowing that most of the money in my HSA is invested in growing. I personally keep about $2,000 cash in my HSA at all times, so I can go swipe it at the doctor and not worry about it bouncing.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I still am getting that triple tax benefit. Some people, a little bit of an advanced PFC tip, what they'll do is they'll never spend HSA money. What they'll do is whenever they have a medical expense, they'll create a spreadsheet, and they'll save the receipt, put it on the spreadsheet, keep track of it in their Google Drive, keep all their records, and then pay for it out of their checking account, out of their tax money. Then the idea is years later, you can go and reimburse yourself for all those receipts all at once and say, okay, over the years, I've had $100,000 in medical expenses. Now I'm going to take $100,000 out of my HSA all at once, reimburse myself, reimburse my taxable money, and then pull it all out 100% tax-free with that money that's been growing tax-free for years. That's cool if you want to do it. If you're like into the whole like spreadsheet thing, you'll end up a little bit better off that way. But, with all these things, there's like kind of a balance between how much of an annoyance do you want in your life versus just living your life. And for me, I kind of just spend my HSA money when I need to, so I don't have to keep track of receipts for 20 years.
Yeah. Also, you have like 11 kids, so you got more medical expenses than the average bear.
Did you say 5011? Is that a
5011
or something?
5011. You never heard
I
that?
have 2 kids.
I might as well be 5011.
They are. I agree with that. It does seem like it's an outrageous number of kids to have. And they are very expensive.
There you go. This might be our shortest episode ever. Proud of you.
No. The earlier episodes were like in the 20s. This is 36 minutes. That's
I think
pretty
those were
good.
our test episodes. I don't know.
This is not our shortest episode ever.
Okay.
This was a good episode, I hope.
This was good. You did great.
I could launch into my stand-up routine. I've got a tight 40.
All right, hit us with the rules so we can get out of here.
All right, Jen is slowly leaving, backing away in the chair. There's nothing she wants less than to hear my stand-up routine. It's not tight either. It's a very loose 40, so it would be horrible. Okay.
Loose 40?
It's a very loose 40.
Sounds crazy.
They won't want you to have a tight 5. I know nothing about stand-up, obviously.
Clearly.
But what I do know about, Jen, listen to the segue. What I do know about is building wealth. And if you want to build wealth, you follow the 2 rules. That's what you do. Rule number 1 is you live below your means. And rule number 2 is invest early and often. That's it. See you next week.
The Personal Finance Club show is produced by Jeremy Schneider and Jen Mundia. Music by Esabalu and Homie. Send your questions to podcast@personalfinanceclub.com. The Personal Finance Club show is co-hosted by Jeremy Schneider, who is a co-owner of Nectarine, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The views expressed on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nectarine. Please refer to hellonectarine.com for all relevant disclosures. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as personalized investment advice or a solicitation to buy or sell any security. Listeners should consult their own financial, legal, or tax professionals for advice specific to their situation.